Alright, welcome back to a final update on the SpaceBlock base. And yeah, I think we're done here. Well, you can see the blinking. I'm still missing a lot of space concrete, and well, I don't think this is going to be worth dragging out just to make 15,000 more space concrete. I've made like 5,000 so far. But I diverted, well, if we look at the space concrete factory again, the main thing it needs is water. This is what all of this mess is making in the end. And I did divert all the water production from it for quite a bit. I'm going to come to why in a second. So yeah, I kind of didn't produce any space concrete for a couple of hours. And yeah, as I said, I don't think it's worth dragging this out too much longer only for the space concrete. I am going to leave it running for a while because I do want to have a stable science production reading, and I'll see if I can finish the space concrete stuff here in that time. But if I can't, well, I'm just going to leave it as it is, I think. Yeah, science still just working away perfectly. I'm almost a little bit sad that this is just, well, this was basically plug and play, and there was nothing wrong with it. And I mean, I'm proud of it and I'm really happy with the science build, but I did kind of want this to be a little more finicky and things to go wrong. But well, you can see it's still perfectly fluctuating. There's the exact same number of science packs that has been passed through here, and it's around 3 million right now. Come on. And it's, yeah, 45 per second exactly. It's been running for 66,000 seconds. That's what all these numbers here are saying. Yeah, as I said, just running perfectly. The overflow consumption is just working away. It's kind of filling up and emptying again. I've been worried that it would over time kind of start building up, but no. I think I can say this with certainty now. Well, there hasn't been any bottlenecks, so I can't really tell how this system would hold up if you only fed in like 3/4 of a belt of science or something like this. I think it might still work, but it might come out of sync at some point. I'm not really sure. But yeah, for my purposes, this is just working like an absolute charm. And yeah, as I said, I've passed through like 3 million science. Purple science has only kicked into high gear for like an hour, I think. Look at purple science here. Well, yeah, it's been slightly more than an hour. It took a long time for purple to actually start all of its sub-factories back up. So you can see I basically started consuming science 20 hours ago. And for the most time, some of the factories were idle, but now things are kicking in again. Yeah, so I think the science side of things is just gonna keep running forever and ever and ever. Well, if it doesn't, I'm gonna notice and make changes. But yeah, there was one thing that was kind of missing from the whole thing, and I was doing something with the starter base. And I'm gonna walk you through my thought process real quick. I initially wanted to make a giant music machine, which basically just played kind of a big song with tracks you could switch on and off, and I had all kinds of things planned. I haven't made this in quite a bit, so I would have liked to do that. But the issue was you need a base running at 60 UPS perfectly for that. Otherwise, it's just gonna sound like crap. Like if you make a music machine and then your UPS fluctuates between 50 and 60, I'm not going to be able to listen to that. So yeah, this idea was kind of dead on arrival, unfortunately. And yeah, then someone in the comments pointed out that I could make a fish factory out of this. So I kind of did. Well, it's technically a factory and it's a fish, so I would consider this to be a fish factory. Yeah, this is why I diverted my water fill production. This is, I think, like 65,000 water fill. We can check, because I actually used the creative word to make this. Not to build it, but to make it. yeah, 62k water fill. So this took a little bit of time to make. Actually, I did not extend my starting platform here. This just fit perfectly. I did, however, expand it a tiny little bit here, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, the fish again was made with Matt Crawford's app, the one I linked a few episodes ago, which allowed me to make the Spidertron concrete here as well. I'm gonna try to remember to link it again in this episode. Thanks again, Matt. This is really, really cool. And yeah, the basis for this fish picture was, let's see, this fish picture here. So basically I just took in the fish icon and put it through Matt's app with different cutoff grayscale. I'm not sure about the jargon here, like different settings, and then placed it on top of each other with different concrete, and this is what came out of it. I really love this app, and I can really recommend playing around with this if you want to have some interesting concrete structure or some weird landfill cells or whatever. Okay, so I made this nice fish and had it built in here, and then I wanted to start building a factory on this, but then I thought, okay, this is gonna have the same problem as my Spidertron concrete here. You're just not gonna see it. You might see the rough outline of a fish, but yeah, I didn't really want to do that. So instead, I just decided to be very, very lazy and build another white science factory here. This is just the same as the 9 science per second white science factories that I built, only without the head basically, so the silo is missing. And instead I'm putting satellites and all the components into a train. This is a little bit of a weird train. We can maybe catch it come in. Yeah, well, I'm gonna come to that in a second. Well, I can turn on the map now. Yeah, this train kind of changes directions, so it needs a locomotive on the front and the back, because there's no room on the other station to actually have a loop. Come on, where you at? This shouldn't be taking so long. Ah, here it is. Let's just follow this real quick, and you can see now it's basically the wrong side up here, like this wagon is carrying low density structure in every other run and RCUs in every other run, so it's kind of gonna change around, but it doesn't really matter. And every wagon just has one slot for a satellite. This was, yeah, it's not a perfect solution, but it's definitely enough for what I'm doing here. And this just goes all the way through the base and towards the old starter base. And I made a little plug thing here. Yeah, this, whoops, where I'm basically changing from a one-headed train, single-headed train to a double-headed train rail here. And this just goes around and then goes back the other way when it's empty here. Yeah. And all of this is, of course, going into a silo, and this is where I unfortunately have to admit defeat, because I was playing around with this for a long time yesterday, and I tried to make something work and couldn't manage. Yeah, quick explanation of this. If you want to obtain fish from launching white science into space, which, in case you didn't know, is something that you can do. Let me see here. Yeah. So if you want to launch fish into white science into space, you can launch up to 100 white science to obtain 100 fish. So one stack of fish is the maximum you can obtain. And I tested this to the absolute end of it. And if I'm wrong about this, I would really like to know. So if you know of any way to automatically obtain 100 fish from a single rocket launch, I would really die to know this. because, well, the first thing I did was, okay, I have one inserter, or actually the first thing I did in the old starter base was just have one inserter here, and my assumption was, okay, this would start filling up with 100 signs and then launch. But of course, well, this was kind of naive to think, I guess, because in reality this launches on like auto launch with cargo, so the moment there's some white signs in there, it's gonna launch. So the maximum I can do with this is 12 signs. But then I thought, okay, what if I have like 10 of these that all feed in 10 at the exact same moment? So I'm gonna have a circuit controlled system, and all of these inserters are gonna swing at the exact same time and put in 100 signs. Well, this doesn't work. It still just launches with 10 signs. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna use the least used non-military item in this game, at least for myself, and that's the power switch. And control the silo by this. You can see the silo was disabled because it wasn't powered. And I can circuit control the power to the silo. Let me just maybe rebuild the system that I had for a second. And yeah, now it's turned off. Yeah, my thinking here was, wait, this is supposed to be a 10. My thinking here was, I'm gonna wait until this is a multiple of 10, because of 100, because I'm gonna start with a multiple of 100, and if this is a multiple of 100, then I'm gonna know that I have basically fed in 100 signs, and only then, so I'm gonna cut off power between the rocket being finished, so between the first signs being loaded up and between 100 signs being loaded up. So I'm gonna leave power to the inserter, but I'm not gonna leave power to the silo. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just show this real quick. The way to do this is put something in here. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward real quick until I have the rocket almost done. Okay, we're at A90. I'm gonna take this out for a second, and you can see the moment I take this out of the chest, the power switch turns off and the silo doesn't continue to build. But at this point I still can't put any cargo in there. Yeah, and my idea was, as I said, to have this I'm gonna show how this works exactly. This inserter is gonna take things out once this inserter starts taking white signs into its hand. So yeah, this is gonna happen when the rocket is just finished building. And then I wanted to, the moment that this starts loading it up, I wanted to cut off the power from the rocket silo to prevent it from launching before there's enough in there. So let's see how that goes. Oops. And this should start swinging. Come on. Yeah, look at this inserter, and then the moment this starts to activate, the power should go. And here we... Come on. Oh, this rocket takes so long to prepare. Here we go, and it's turned off. And it doesn't need power to launch. Yeah, and at this point last night I went to bed frustrated, and I thought, okay, it can't be done. I rarely ever say this about Factorio, but I think, well, I would really, no, I don't think it can't be done. I think I can't do it, and I would love to see someone else have a way of automatically launching more than one stack of, not one stack, one inserter swing of fish. So if you think you can do it, play around with it and let me know. I'd really love to know. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of this and put this back here and just have 12 fish launched per rocket, which is, well, it's sad, but I see no way around it. Let's see, this is only gonna launch if there's more than or equal 12. Yeah, this is the basic system. This is just gonna say, okay, don't waste a rocket launch if there's less than 12 signs in there, and instead launch another satellite to get more white signs. That's the very basic idea here. Yeah, I think this is the plan here would be to fill this belt going around the whole starter base with fish, and I don't think this is going to take too long, so I think I am going to do that. This is old. Yeah, I think this can definitely be done. I mean, there was, I think in episode like 4 or 5 or something, I was talking about making one full belt of fish, and I'm not going to be able to do that, especially because, as I just showed, this would need an incredible amount of rocket launches. So I'm not going to do 45 fish per second by any means. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at this and have this little fisheye rocket launching facility. Even though, as I said, it's not working as I would have liked it to work. But, well, you can't always get what you want. Or if I'm being dumb and I can get what I want, please notify me. Yeah, I think this is pretty much as far as this base is gonna go. Yeah, I would like to address one more comment because I really liked that from, I think, last episode, where it was pointed out that these cells kind of look like well, I'm not gonna pronounce it in English, Erlenmeyer flasks. Like the chemical flask things. Well, basically these guys. And I can't believe that I didn't notice this. And I can't believe that I didn't just download the Dectorio decorations thing with the colorful concrete and made them in the colors of the corresponding sciences. I'm a little bit sad about this, but well, I'm gonna sort and upload a final blueprint book. So if you want to play around with this base design, the rail grid, anything, feel free to do it. Feel free to build your Erlenmeyer flask base if you want. I really would have liked that idea, but yeah, for some reason I always saw the Superman logo here, but I didn't see the Erlenmeyer flasks. Okay, I think I'm gonna end on a little bit of a how do you call it? Like a look back. Well, I think I'm gonna attach a few images, basically like the thumbnail images of the different episodes. I think this kind of gives you a very nice feeling for how this whole thing developed. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through all the builds real quick, not like all the details, but just to summarize. The first massive thing here was the module build. And I'm really glad I did this, because in most of my previous attempts at mega basing, modules were always the bottleneck, and always like I could build giant builds like this, and then it took like 10 hours for the modules to catch up. And in this case, I just had a basically infinite amount of modules to play with, and this made things a lot easier. Yeah, this is just the same thing for prod modules. Not that important, because you can see I'm using a lot more speed modules than prod modules, but still. Actually, we can probably have a look at a few numbers here. Let's go to all. Are they not called Mark III? Wait, or do speed modules? No, modules don't appear in the buildings tab. That's annoying. Okay, maybe just see. Oh, come on. I have built 20k beacons. Wait, this doesn't really sound right. I'm just gonna use the item production tab, I guess. Okay, they are not called Mark III. Yeah, I've made 74k speed and 28k prod modules. That tells you the increased relevance of speed modules here. Yeah, oops. I'm gonna just go on. This is the kind of crappy mall that I made. Yeah, it's not really a thing of beauty, but it did provide me with all the necessary resources very, very stably. And, well, not everything always has to be about beauty, does it? Okay, the first science build here was the red and green science. Very straightforward. I don't think anyone really struggles with red and green science. You can see there's perfectly compressed belts coming in at all time. Yeah, this is... I said this last episode, I really love these self-contained builds, but they do kind of take a little bit of the fun away because, especially for the spread out ones, which I'm going to come to in a second, if one works perfectly, I can be 100% sure that all of them are going to work perfectly. And I don't have any interconnectedness and any complicated dynamics, things that can go wrong. So yeah, well, I did massively enjoy building this, but I am looking forward to building a normal base again where I have more interdependent processes and more things can go wrong. Because, well, I don't even really feel like testing the science build to death because, well, you can see, let's look at purple science again. If you ignore these little dips here, which I'm actually not 100% sure what they were, I think something started to fill up for a very brief time here, but this is very, very stable over a long time. This means that at least some of the science builds are running very stably, and, well, since they're basically all the same, if one is running stably, all of them will. So yeah, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. It's an easier way of building in this fashion than it is if I have lots of different interconnected builds. Okay, nevertheless, let's just step away from the annoying silo maybe. Let's just keep looking at the builds one final time. I'm actually gonna turn on the recipe icons even though it's gonna cost me a lot of UPS. Well, actually not that many this time. Yeah, this is blue science. Again, nothing too complicated, but you can see the amount of things you need definitely increases from red and green to blue, but it still managed to fit in here, all of it, and it's also making a very nicely compressed belt. Yeah, there were some issues in the beginning, there were some engine units not running, but since then everything's just working perfectly. The next thing I think I'm gonna go through it chronologically. I'm not sure when I built the space concrete factory, and yeah, as I said, this is still kind of a massive project. You can see here most of it's still empty. I mean, there's this giant strip for some reason that the bots tried or decided to build continuously, but other than that it's just a few spots. So I'm still working on that, and yeah, I'm not sure if it's ever going to be finished. Okay, purple. I really liked this weird and convoluted part of the purple build with the rails going into train wagons here. This was kind of a lot of fun to build, and well, actually rails are running out here. Ooh, this is not how it's supposed to be, but only on this side. What? I might have to check here. Why is this? All the resources seem to be coming in. Well, never mind. I'm gonna let it run and see if there's actually any problems occurring. Yeah, purple. I kind of overestimated how much room this would need, I think. You can see there's quite a bit of room left here, and I probably could have increased this to 15 signs per second instead of the 9. But yeah, once it was done, I didn't really want to do that anymore. Here's the corresponding 6 signs per second build. Well, you can decide for yourselves, could I have managed to squeeze those 2 cells into one of them? I'm not sure, maybe not. Maybe it was probably the smart thing to do this way. Okay, so all of this is purple signs and all of this is purple signs. Then I have yellow. I can actually turn on the station names here to see this better. I have yellow signs here, 15 signs per second, which is telling us, I think, haven't really counted it out, but I think purple to make the same amount of purple signs, you do need more raw resources than for yellow signs. It's not a lot, but I think, yeah, it's definitely more for purple than for yellow. I mean, you can see the amount of mining is almost the same here, and this is only 9 signs per second, and this is 15 for yellow. Okay, more yellow here, and then there's white signs on these 3 small cells. This is by far the most squeezed and the most crammed build, and this was, well, due to that, I would say this was the most fun to build. Yeah, this was very, very enjoyable. I had to shrink down the station to half the size, but everything worked out perfectly in the end. I even had a little bit of room left here, but yeah, I couldn't have fit any more into this. The big white science build is very much crammed as well. Also the only area that I had some room left was up here. But yeah, these 2 builds were very, very fun to build. And yeah, maybe a quick last look at the power plants in case you're using this. I did notice a few things that were wrong with it, and I did make some fixes without talking about it. First thing was adding this thing, which is, well, it's not a perfect fix, but it's gonna solve things for, well, basically forever. All this does is, if this thing has filled up with good uranium, and this still needs to be producing dark uranium, but this can get stuck on bright uranium. So if the output is full with bright uranium, and this is full with bright uranium, then this is going to stop, and slowly the system is going to run out of dark uranium. So what I'm doing here is just, if the wagon is full, so if the counter system here is showing 200 or more bright uranium, then this is just going to output it into a chest. And, well, I could put it somewhere or do something with it. I could use this for nuclear fuel or something like that, but I wasn't really bothered. And the second thing was, a very annoying thing that I fortunately noticed before it became too bad. When this belt is compressed with fuel cells here, come on, the empty fuel cells, which go on the other side of the belt here, are just gonna get stuck here and not gonna go to their destination here, because of this weird belt shuffling thing that's going on here. So yeah, very lazy fix. I just included this inserter and these 2 pieces of belt here, which just takes the empty fuel cells and puts them into here. If I was to design this again, I would just redo this whole part, but I wanted to have something that I could just paste onto the existing system. So yeah, I think now it's actually running perfectly, but there were some things that needed fixing here. Okay, and finally, last but not least, the heart of the base and the thing I'm most proud of, probably since I built the Joseph factory. This is really near and dear to my heart, because it's just so over-engineered and so complicated, and it's just working so flawlessly, and I love this. The science build, I'm not gonna start going on about it again. I'm just gonna enjoy it for a little longer, and I think with that finish this series for good. And yeah, I had a really fun time building all of this. I'm gonna upload a final save file. You can definitely play around with it and maybe try and extend the whole base by another 10 rows or whatever you want. Feel free to expand on this. Feel free to use the blueprints or whatever you want from it. As I said, I'm gonna get my blueprints sorted. I'm not gonna upload all the specific builds. I think if you want them, just go into the save file and blueprint them yourself. But yeah, I'm gonna include a few blueprints so you can build a similar base if you want. Let me know if you enjoyed this, or if there's things I can improve on, or if there's things you would have liked to see differently. The next thing will be starting on a self-expanding factory in space exploration, and I have already had a few ideas, but I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do it. But yeah, more about this in, I guess, a couple of days. I'm gonna do some more thinking and maybe start some initial preparations, and then talk about it if I know a bit more what I'm doing. Anyway, with that, thanks for watching, and maybe see you in the next series.